Yes, so yeah, it's only emergency level.
Whenever you're ready. Go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for the Sunbury New Community Authority Board of Trustees. Could you please take the roll for us?
Yeah, we should probably do the oaths first and then we'll call the roll after that, just to make sure everybody's fully sworn in.
Ready.
So we have 3 members to be re-sworn in, yourself, Mr. Giller, and Ms. Steffen. So Tony's going to help administer the oaths.
Raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, Constitution of the State of Ohio, and will faithfully and honestly perform the duties of the office as a member of the Board of Trustees of Sunbury Community Authority? So say I do.
I do.
Okay. Sign those papers and then get them back to me. Okay.
All right, Ms. Frost,
Present.
Ms. Steffen,
Here.
Mr. Giller, Mr. Rentz,
Here.
Mr. Whitman,
Here.
Mr. Lossick is running a little late, but we have 5 members present. We have a quorum.
You. We were given the meeting minutes from the October 1st, 2024 meeting. Not sure if they're in this packet. They are in this packet.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Steffen. Yep. All right, any additional discussion? Hearing that, so moved by Mr. Giller, seconded by Ms. Steffen. Mr. Giller. Do you approve them?
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Steffen,
Yes.
Ms. Frost,
Yes.
Mr. Rentz,
Yes.
and Mr. Whitman.
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
Do we have any reports or communications from the board that we need to discuss? Hearing none, we will move on. Any other reports or communications?
Yes, so I did prepare a document. We want to walk the board through just a little bit. So it's a picture, it's a map and a spreadsheet that have been placed on your table. At the last board meeting, Mr. Giller had asked if we could provide a little bit more insight into kind of what's happening, what the millage rates are of the properties that are within the NCA. And has also asked that we begin to kind of model this out a little bit to get a sense of what the revenue streams are going to look like. I don't have that on the document yet. As we learn more about the actual assessments from the auditor's office, we'll start to include that into future reports. So let's start with the map itself. So what you have in front of you then is what the future NCA would look like after the Woodland Lake property is added. So assuming that the board acts favorably this evening, it will add this square box here to the property. So those are the 3 that are currently in the NCA, or that will be in the NCA, hopefully by the end of this meeting. The upper left-hand side, that's the ravines and I believe the legacy at Meadow Ridge. Like I said, Woodland Lake is the basically the box to the right of that, and then on the lower right-hand side, that's Eagle Creek. It's a subdivision. It was added at our last board meeting. So if you turn then to the spreadsheet that I've got for you there, I've got each of those 3 properties listed. Give you a sense of the type of project that's happening. So 3-story apartments for the ravines, single family home at East Eagle Creek, and then Woodland Lake is the sort of a mix of uses, ranch style homes for rent, 3-story apartments, and commercial development. As you can see in the next column, those are the millage rates for the individual parcels. Again, Woodland Lake not yet in, but those would be the rates for Woodland Lake. Estimated investment at this point, I tried to capture what we knew at the time that it came into the NCA, what the estimated investment was going to be. For Eagle Creek, obviously a series of single family homes, so that will vary parcel to parcel. And we do have properties in Eagle Creek that are occupied. So we will begin to, that's one of the other things I think we'll talk a little bit more about here later. Those will begin to generate revenue for the NCA going forward. The next column over community facilities, I've listed basically what the proposed uses are for the NCA funds that will be collected. So for example, for the Meadow Ridge or the ravines at Meadow Ridge, it's the interchange. I mean, again, it doesn't mean that it's funding all of these. It means that the NCA charge can be used to support any of these projects. So the I-71 interchange, for example, is being funded with other sources, but it was listed as an eligible use at the very outset. A new road connecting the interchange to US 36, 37, and or connecting the interchange to, yes. So that's actually the parkway, I should say. That's the language that was in the document. So this, I think, essentially is referencing Four Winds Drive, and we'll talk a little bit more about Four Winds Drive when we talk about Woodland Lake. Other roads and related infrastructure improvements as shown on the ODOT Sunbury Parkway phasing plan. So the vision is that this NCA over years will help support the build out of the road that runs all the way from the west, basically roughly Africa Road, swoops down through the interchange, heads west or heads east, and connects into Cherry Street eventually. And then other types of uses that are similar to that, or other permitted uses, I should say. And then the final thing on the right-hand side, just a little bit more detail about the development itself. Eagle Creek, a little bit different. It includes funding for a turn lane and other improvements. So that's one of the first uses that comes out of the Eagle Creek property. But then the language mimics the ravines at Meadow Ridge after that. So same types of uses there. And then Woodland Lake, if added to the NCA, would be used for the construction and extension of Four Winds Drive. So again, this is an important north-south connector that is west of 71, runs parallel to 71. That would ultimately connect into the parkway itself. So from the northern terminus through the project site to the parkway, this has been mutually agreed with the Delaware County, and that is somewhat important because this property originally was part of another a TIF in the township, and so the financing on this one, and we do have Mr. Bell here representing the owner who can give us more detail about that if we need to know about that. But the point is, we did need the county's agreement on what the funds could be used for. So this one has a more narrow description of the uses, but it can then also be used for the parkway later on. So after we finish financing the Four Winds Road extension, can be used for that purpose. And then again, 211 ranch units, 240 apartments, another 7.5 acres of commercial property that will front to Sunbury Parkway. All right. The other thing I will note, let me go back to the NCA charge because obviously the charges are all over the place. Each of these charges is set when there's negotiation with the developer and the city early on in the process. And so as it's going through, there's an agreed upon millage rate that's included in the documents itself. The 4 mills for Eagle Creek has kind of been where the city has been with respect to single family homes. I think it's the declaration. Is it the declaration or it's the petition that sets the 15 mills? The declaration. So for the NCA, this NCA that we're in, the declaration says that the charge is going to be 15 mills for any property. And then it gets negotiated from that point kind of down based upon contributions. Come on in, Mr. Lossig. And again, other considerations by the city. Yep, coming up, Skip. Thanks. We'll make a note that Mr. Lossick arrived at 4:10.
I apologize for my tardiness and my tires.
We know you're coming from another meeting. We appreciate you being here. So just a couple of points about Woodland Lake. And like I said, I'll let Mr. Bell chime in on the financing if there are questions about that. I will say that, this rate looks different than the ravines rate. So it's annexed land that was previously contemplated to be, a part of, or not originally anticipated to be part of an intergovernmental agreement with the county. So there was an intergovernmental agreement several years ago that kind of anticipated what would be in the city and in this particular NCA. This property was not contemplated to be in the NCA, so it's an addition to. So it's a net add, if you will, I guess, to the NCA than what we thought it would be. It unleashes the potential for development of 54 acres of commercial development to the north. That is a property that has been somewhat static, I guess. It's dormant, if you will, just has not developed the way that I think we had hoped that it would. So it, by the construction of Four Winds Drive that runs through that northern property, through the Woodland Lake property, it unleashes the potential for that 54 plus acres to be developed. It also then, as I indicated earlier, also opens up another roughly 7.5 acres of commercial space to the south. As I indicated, it does extend Four Winds Drive beyond the property owner's current limit. The other thing is, the city believes that it frees the TIF revenues for the property to the north to be applied immediately to infrastructure in the NCA in and around the Sunbury Parkway. Originally, that agreement to the north had us using those TIF revenues to build Four Winds Drive. The developer here in this particular case is building the entire road. So, the developer has agreed to do that. And again, it's created an opportunity for us to apply those northern property TIF revenues immediately to other key infrastructure in the area. And then maybe the final point I would make is, the developer is taking the risk here. I mean, they are borrowing the funds up front and getting reimbursed, as opposed to maybe some other models where, it's a different source providing the upfront cash. So a lot of reasons, but those are just some of them. I just want to make sure that people heard that. So questions or comments regarding?
The Woodland Lake, under the notes and comments, the 54 plus or minus acres of commercial property on the MTB site. What is that, MTB?
So that is the property to the north that I was referencing, that it kind of unleashes the potential to develop that site faster.
Is the note, is that, what is the name of that?
Yep, that's just
The name of
the property owner.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
MTB ME, that's, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I can add in.
Yeah, sure.
The piece just off of, just behind Cracker Barrel.
Yep,
So the driveway that goes in
Yes.
between Cracker Barrel and
White Castle.
White Castle,
The dead
that's the
end.
street that's
Got
gonna
it.
go on 401 Street. So NTB owned all of that to the freeway. And then this piece was in the township. I assume they annexed it.
It was in the township, got annexed to the city.
Annexed to the city.
Yep.
So that's where it's opening up. And, NTB had, I think, a TIF deal on it. I don't think it had NCA on it at the time.
Yeah, for the Woodland Lake property, yes, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was a different owner. I shouldn't have said that, but yeah, it had a TIF deal on it, never materialized. Yeah.
So the revenue generated off that TIF is gonna go to pay for some of that 401 Drive, I'm guessing.
Well, again, I'll let our financial expert kind of address that, because I don't want
Oh,
to screw that up.
we get to grill Caleb. That's nice.
Well, I don't,
Doesn't even matter.
do you want to, yeah, I mean, you know it a lot better than I do.
Yeah, no, you're doing a very good job. I think that the elements of the project include these three different components that are two residential components and then a future commercial site. So within the Woodland Lakes area, there's these three pieces. And as the administrator was saying, there is TIF and also NCA. This site uniquely was in the township. And so as it came in, the most efficient way to rewrite all the taxes here was a combination of TIF, NCA, and also tax abatement. So what's going on is we're kind of wiping away the taxes the way they were, and we're putting in place your all's NCA charge to create a more robust bucket for the city and the developer put Four Winds Drive in, which really is a catalytic thing, as Daryl was saying. So TIF is in here, but it's actually kind of a footnote or a minor piece of the overall revenue, because for that period of tax abatement, we're going to have really most of the revenue is your NCA charge. It's the replacement charge. So all those chunks together create the money that goes to pay for the debt. The debt in this case is Port Authority debt, the Finance Authority here in Delaware County, and also the Finance Authority in a collaborating county, Warren County. Both of those entities, both those counties have a credit card limit. And so if you want to go tap all of Delaware County's credit card limit, you do a project like this and you put all of it in that bucket. Delaware County and Warren County say, hey, let's partner and share. That way we're not tapping each other's credit card limit. So you have a partnering county in this case. But all that's to say, all this revenue kind of all stacks up together. It goes into the bucket, it pays the debt, and then the excess comes back to, and with that TIF being the long end, comes back to the city for the city to use.
Yeah, and before you came in the room, the chairwoman had asked a little bit about why Warren County was referenced here. So thank you for sharing that. For the others, just you may be asking yourself the same question. Why is Warren County involved?
Any other questions?
So just for clarification, so on this, you have underlying TIF, NCA charge.
Yep.
There's CRA.
There is tax abatement, but it's completely replaced. So it's not as if it's a pass-through benefit. It's really replaced with the NCA charge. The reason to do that is a slightly more efficient way to get at those values in the overall pie. That's the property tax pie. And so it's just it's a mechanism that's used sometimes when you're really trying to squeeze as much as you can out of the site. And this Four Winds Drive was expensive. So the party said, let's go that direction. It's just a more efficient way to do it.
I'm kind of lost on the Four Winds Drive. I mean, I know where it is and I know where it ends. Now, as I see this, we've got, it's Eagle Creek just south of where Cracker Barrel is.
Yeah.
That's Eagle Creek and that's Wood. Okay, I had them backward. But okay, so we're going to finance Four Winds Drive to come all the way back to Woodland Lake. Is that what we're talking about?
It's going all the way down to the park.
I mean, but that's
Going to go south all the way to the Sunbury Parkway.
right, but that's okay. So everybody's going to be kind of in that to get it to the Sunbury Parkway. I just didn't know what that piece of land was. Was that county? Are they involved in this? That little.
Yeah, so let me, if you look at the map, I mean, should have done this earlier, I apologize. So this, basically this block right here, this is Woodland Lake.
Right.
All right. This property to the north here, that's the MTB ME property, two different owners.
Right.
So, but the deal here is to construct four-wheel drives from to where it terminates now. So that's
Right.
behind Cracker Barrel, straight down through this property all the way to the bottom. Now, the parkway will come through. It doesn't exactly connect because there's a property owner in between, at least one property owner in between. So there's still a little bit of work to get it connected, but it's virtually there under this arrangement. Yeah. And I don't think I was perfectly clear on this, but what I was trying to say is our current development agreement with this property owner here involves them building the road, through their property.
Okay.
But in this particular case, this property owner is going to build it all the way north. And so money that we have in our development agreement through a TIF arrangement to pay for this road is no longer necessary because it's all getting financed, under this particular deal. So that's why I was saying, and so the TIF revenues here, once we've paid for the right of way, essentially then start to flow to infrastructure improvement in here. So it accelerates the receipt of those funds for other uses. So
But that property is in the city, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all right. Now I'm sure.
And that happened. Yeah. I mean, whatever, 6 months, 9 months ago, something like that, I got annexed into the city.
Okay.
So the revenues generated, this big picture, so the economics worked at 60, 70, 80 million with this millage to fund Four Winds the whole way. Cause it's what's the 30-year?
The TIF, can you go to the mic just so we can pick it up on reporting.
Of course. The TIF is 30, the CRA and NCA period is 15. And so because you're getting a lot of juice out of the 15 years, you're able to get financing and pay for that slug. The trailing years help you pay off the end of the debt and then create excess. So yes, it is enough debt. It is enough revenue.
So essentially, this piece is kind of taking care of all of it, but they're looping all the revenue together from both deals, and trying to mend the revenue that they've already agreed to on both deals.
Yeah.
Is essentially what you're doing.
In a way, that's win-win-win, right? It gets it all done for both property owners, the city, and, you know, the future developments.
TIF was 30. The CRA and tax abatement was 15.
What was that, Randy? The CRA, you're just,
Or just,
The TIF was for 30 years and the CRA and the tax abatement were for 15.
15, correct. Yeah, that's right.
okay.
all right, so thank you for that. So like I said, I mean, there's more to be done on this. We'll certainly start to, again, once we get the assessed valuations, we'll start to build this out a little bit more so you can begin to see the revenue streams. And once we start financing things, kind of the inflow and the outflow of cash. All right. That is what I had. Thank you.
You. We don't have any special committees, so I assume there's no reports. Do we have any public comment? All right, none. We don't have, well, we do. We have 3 pending resolutions to go over. Should we go over those or?
That would be under the new, so you're in the next level. There's no pending resolutions right now.
Left over from the last one.
Oh, from last time. Okay, thank you. New resolutions and motions.
All right, so here we will, select a new chair, vice chair, appoint a secretary and appoint a treasurer. So we want to walk through this one at a time, like we did the last time. So the first thing we'll do is open the floor to nominations for the chair position. Are there any nominations?
I'll nominate Ann Frost. Well, second.
Any other nominations? Any objections to closing the nominations? Hearing none, the nomination is closed. All those in favor of Ann Frost, well, do you want a roll call vote? Okay, all those in favor of Ann Frost as the new chair? By saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, any abstentions? Motion approved. Congratulations, Ms. Frost. All right, same thing for the vice chair. Open the floor to nominations for the vice chair.
I will nominate Randall Rentz for vice chair. I'll second.
Any other nominations? Any objections to closing the nominations? Hearing none, the nominations are closed. All those in favor of Randy Rentz as the vice chair signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion approved. All right. And then the appointment of the secretary of the board. I don't know, Tony, you want to say just a little bit about that? Doesn't have to be a board member, that kind of.
Doesn't have to be a board member. I was asked 2 years ago to do it. Was willing, and I'm still willing if you want to have me. So
I would like to nominate Mr. Core.
Second by Randy.
No other nominations? All right, motion by Ms. Frost, second by, was it Mr. Rentz? Sorry about that. To appoint Mr. Core as the secretary. Ms. Frost,
Yes.
Ms. Steffen,
Yes.
Mr. Giller,
Yes.
Mr. Lossick,
Yes.
Mr. Rentz,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion approved. All right, and the final appointment is the treasurer of the board. So Dana has served in that role in the past. Dana is the city finance director.
Like to nominate Ms. Steffen.
Second.
Fine, yes. All right, any other nominations? If not, moved by Ms. Frost, seconded by Mr. Whitman to appoint Ms. Steffen As the treasurer, Ms. Frost,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. Rents,
Yes.
Mr. Lossick,
Yes.
Mr. Giller,
Yes.
Ms. Steffen.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion approved. All right.
Great. And then Mr. Hennessy, do you want to read through the resolutions?
I'm going to let Mr. Core kind of
Okay.
walk you through this stuff. So,
The first resolution before you, 2025-1 is levying and collecting or starting the process for collecting the community development charge for the ravines at Meadow Ridge. This was the subdivision that came in at 2 years ago at the first creation. The process, as was described earlier, is that we will work with the county, identifying the assessed values, applying the rates as specified in the declaration to establish those, and then have a certification that will be turned to the county to help the county go about the collection process for that. The levy of the charge actually occurred back when the property was first brought in, but this is just specifying that now we're starting that collection process to establish what the exact values are. So when we come back to this board in the future, then we'll start to be breaking those down in greater and greater specificity as to what the amounts are for the properties and the collections and all of those kinds of things. So basically for the ravines, this is starting that process with this resolution.
Any discussion?
One thing that I found helpful in other authorities that I'm involved in is when you guys do your economic deal and you do your, term sheet or wherever you're doing, put in a mandatory reporting requirement for the one apartment complex is not that complicated. When you start to get into houses, townhomes, condos, you get it gets a lot more confusing. That way, once a year prior to this meeting, you can notify the developer builder, request their sales data, right? And that way, when you go to the auditor, you're providing them with that sales data and then levying the charge based on the sales data versus someone, none of us will be doing it, but someone, treasurer, we may have to going and fishing out and trying to find when parcels are done. We find that is a much more efficient way to get that information from the builder. They have it, they track it because they're selling the houses, so they can get that information for you. And in the other three authorities, that's the way we run it. It just makes it much easier if you bake that into the initial deal package. Therefore, it's not a question. You just call up, ask for it, and then, give them we have a specific form that we ask them to fill out.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a great suggestion.
Type of form.
Yep. Thank you.
It's not onerous, but it's much easier.
Does that need to be incorporated into the resolution or that can just be administrative?
Yeah, that would just be administrative.
Okay.
That's the process we would intend to use as well.
I think my suggestion is when they're doing their term sheet up front.
Mm.
That way, we don't even have to worry about it because we
Yeah.
already know it's baked into their
Yeah.
agreements,
Sure. That's a great idea.
yeah.
Any more discussion? Anyone want to make a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, moved by Ms. Steffen, seconded by Mr. Lossick. Ms. Steffen,
Yes.
Mr. Lossick,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. Rents,
Yes.
Mr. Giller,
Yes.
Ms. Frost.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion approved.
Next resolution is to accept the Woodland Lake subdivision into the NCA. We have on file a draft supplemental declaration that would bring that in. I don't know the timing of when they expect to have that filed, but I would say it'd be very soon.
Correct. But essentially between now and authorization and our expected closing, which is about 28th.
The end of the month.
It's within the next couple of weeks.
Discussion on this resolution number 2?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, moved by Mr. Lossick, seconded by Ms. Steffen. Mr. Lossick,
Yes.
Ms. Steffen,
Yes.
Ms. Frost,
Yes.
Mr. Giller,
Yes.
Mr. Rents,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion approved.
And our last resolution is approving and authorizing the execution of the bond documents. And we might bring Mr. Bell back up to talk in a little more detail about the plan of finance, but would authorize the NCA to enter into the cooperative agreement. And then we are also being asked to be signatory to some of the other bond documents that are mentioned there, the dispersing and payment agreement, the tax lien agreement, administration agreement. And Caleb, if you want to speak to that a little.
Thank you, Mr. Court. And as we've been discussing, this plan of finance is again about the infrastructure only. This is not about any private buildings, but this is literally about the roads and the infrastructure. And the plan of finance involves 2 port authorities jointly funding the infrastructure. And so to do that, you have to collaborate between the 2 port authorities. So there are some agreements that are required. We've mentioned the revenue streams, the TIF and the charges. TIF come from the city fiscal officer to the port authorities. So that's a city item. And then NCA charges come from the NCA fiscal officer to the port authorities or to the finance authorities. So there is a cooperative agreement that kind of ties all those things together that says, city, you'll send TIF money, NCA, you'll send NCA money, and that'll all go to the bond trustee. There are two bond issuers. So we have one trustee that says, I'm going to get it all, and I'm going to chunk it into 2 and pay those bondholders accordingly. So we have a series of agreements, a cooperative agreement, which gathers up all the revenues. And then we have the dispersing agreement, which is the trustee taking the money in and divvying it up. And then there are a couple other things that we do when we have tax lien items like this. The tax lien agreement with the county treasurer, where the county treasurer's office agrees that they won't undercut this bond deal if there is a problem on the site. They won't sell tax certificates at less than 100 cents on the dollar. They won't enter into a tax contract that will create a problem for the revenue to be repaid. In other words, this is pretty much a hell or high water. This site has to pay for these bonds, and the county treasurer is acknowledging that they're not going to interrupt that either. And that's the tax lien agreement. So because of the NCA's role, you all are hooking into a couple of these agreements. And so this resolution is kind of an omnibus resolution to approve your role in each of the financing documents.
I've got a question. Okay, everybody's chipping in. Okay, what do we have to chip in yet? Or are going to have to chip in?
Well, we don't have anything yet to chip in. I mean, that's
Right. But, you know, are we going to run into a problem 4 years from now, 5 years from now, and we don't have the nickels to chip in?
So the answer to that fundamentally is no, you won't have a problem, because the authority's obligation is to certify the charges and then collect and remit whatever you receive. You are not obligated to pay anything more than what you receive from the county system. What the property owner has is an obligation on the property to pay a sufficient amount of TIF plus NCA to pay the bonds. If they are behind on construction, if they don't have value that's coming out of the ground, if they haven't finished on time, they still have a land secured obligation to pay the debt. So that debt will get paid even if it doesn't come through you all.
It would come from the developer.
It'll come straight from the developer. They are guaranteeing that piece.
So what's the face value of the bonds, both of them? Do you know?
Is it 5 and 5? 5.7 and 5 points. It's almost even, but it's 10 million total.
So are they the placement, or are they gonna?
They're actually both, because we have in the Delaware County Finance Authority system, there is a hybrid of a placement and an offering. In Warren County, Warren County is a rated fund, so it's investment grade, and that'll be offered to the market.
So they'll have a minimum service payment on both, or
Correct.
just the?
Yep. Correct. On both, on the whole site. The whole site gets a minimum service payment, which is the land secured guarantee. That's the way that the site,
Right.
hell or high water, pays. And so when sites like this go bad, they don't often, to be honest with you. I haven't seen a delinquency in a Central Ohio,
Right.
multifamily site in a while. But if they were to go bad, the site's on the hook, and you'll end up with a sale of the site and a new owner who will have to come in and pick up the debt.
They'll be back in there asking us to restructure the debt on it.
It's the old infamous build it and they will come. I mean, that's what happens around here.
So very common, see this all the time, and the minimum service payment really versus, let's say the property, they think it's worth $100 million, let's just say. If you let the auditor float up and down, it can be 110, it could be 95. But if you have a minimum service payment, whether it's 100, if it's over the top, then there's more revenue coming in. If it's under that, then the developer has to come up with the dollars to service regardless of what their property taxes are. So if it's 95 versus 100, that $5 million swing, they're still having to cure to the 100
Right.
versus the 95. So essentially, because if they're public placement bonds, people are buying these out in the open market, and they're wanting the return on whatever the investment they're making.
Right.
I do have a question for this resolution in section 4, further determinations. On the back page. For the authority for a period for which the community development charge is to be collected. So second sentence on the back page. Is this a specific period of time? Is this what we talked about? That it's the 30 years for the TIF and the 15 years for the NCA? Or is this just to facilitate all of the infrastructure and the development?
Well, that language specifically just talks to for so long as the community development charge is being levied.
It'd be unending.
This board could continue to apply that, yes.
Another way to say that, and now that item is that the NCA charge has a couple pieces to it. There's the piece that's kind of twinned up with the tax abatement. That's 15 years. It can't go any further. But the piece that's not is accretive to this system and to the city. So that piece can continue on and will kind of chug along until it's no longer needed, or this board in the future, 30 years from now, when I'm finally retired, starts to, reduce the charge. It's a possibility in the future.
All right. Yeah, because in a couple sentences before that, it does talk about operation and maintenance of land development and community facilities. So I see that as maintenance could be unending.
Yes, it very well could be.
Okay. Thank you. There any other discussion?
So give you just a quick thought of that. There may be very likely a time where the bonds will be retired.
Yeah.
And then the millage will continue to come in, and we as a board may say, well, we have enough of this, we want to go fund a park, right? Or do something, because it's a community charge that keeps coming in. Once the business arrangement is done with the developer, the bonds are paid off and retired. The TIF and everything else disperses and goes where it's going to go, but the NCA charge is going to stay on that property. And we could choose as a board, and a future board could choose to say, yeah, we think it's a good, someone may come to us and say, hey, we have this project, we think it's a good idea, and we may say, yeah, that fits in the community purpose, we're gonna do that.
Okay.
Or we could say, well, we've decided we don't wanna do that anymore, and like New Albany, for instance, they took their charges, they kept pushing them down because they had so much extra revenue that they just kept taking the charges backwards instead of raising them up. You can't raise them up past the 15, but you could take them down in future. So that gives some flexibility if, you know, we're talking 30 years from now.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen for a while, but, you know, because all the development has to be built, or has to be charged, has to be working to pay its debt back. So
Okay.
that's
Millage is based on value, and over 30 years, values in this county will go up. But this type of charge doesn't decline like a school district charge, a school district tax, or another type of regular voted levy. Those kind of decline, those mills decline as the values go up. So here you could find yourself over collecting in the future. That's why New Albany ultimately took the actions that they did, is because the house values went up high enough to pay for everything. So.
Any other discussion?
Just let me get it straight. Okay, so we're putting in major infrastructure here, as opposed to a developer putting in streets.
From what I understand, this isn't me, but from what I understand is Wilcox Communities is putting in Four Winds all the way from Woodland Lakes, all the way up to, through the empty.
Yeah, all the way up to basically where the road ends at the moment, which is behind Cracker Barrel. But the other thing is there are a whole bunch of other roads that are being built in this project. That's all part of the private development activity. They're doing that. You're not involved in that in any way, shape, or form. This is just the through street.
In this major, the Four Winds. Okay, so none of this ties us any expenses or anything to Four Winds right now.
Well,
I'm just.
none of this ties us to the private development, meaning the apartments, the commercial development, and the ranch style homes.
Right.
It does tie us to Four Winds Drive because that's what's being financed, the road that's being built.
Limited.
We're helping in the financing of Four Winds, right?
Winds Drive, yes.
Okay, when you said there that someone's building,
Yeah, maybe I said it backwards. I apologize for that.
All right.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is where our money's going now. It's basically the Four Winds. And then later we could branch out and do whatever.
Yeah, the parkway, like we said, I mean, that's a permitted use. The interchange itself, I mean, as Mr. Gillard indicated, I mean, there may be other community purposes that are in that area of infrastructure that would be financed that support the construction and the development of that area. So that's, you'll have some discretion in terms of how those funds are used.
Right, but that's something that'll probably come up in a meeting a year from now.
Before that would generate any kind of spill off revenue, it would be 20 years.
Yeah,
Because they got to retire their $5.5 million. I don't recall exactly, but they got to retire that $5.5 million worth of bonds essentially that cost to put Four Winds in.
Right.
And so once that's done, then there would be, I assume the TIF revenue goes back to the schools, the city, however, whatever the deal is. And then the millage would stay on. And then there would be additional revenues someday down the road for us to do something else with. My guess, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is most of it will go to the parkway over time is my guess. But if there's extra, because I know that's what we kind of indicated for our Ravines at Meadow Ridge site was directed to the parkway, because obviously our interest in the city and the county's interest is get the parkway built.
Yeah.
Because it's a revenue generator with activity and all those other things.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
I would like to make a motion to approve resolution 3.
Randy will second.
All right, moved by Ms. Frost, seconded by Mr. Rentz. Ms. Frost,
Yes.
Mr. Rentz,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. Lossig,
Yes.
Mr. Giller,
Yes.
Ms. Steffen.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion approved.
Thank you. Do we have any other business to discuss?
We don't, we were talking a little bit about developing a budget for this board. Were you thinking that that has to happen before the end of the calendar year?
Ideally before the end of the year, but after we've done the work of the community development charges so that we sort of get a better picture of exactly what that revenue is going to look like coming in within the next calendar year. So possibly the end of the year. If not, it might be, very beginning of 2026, but hopefully yet this year.
So the point is maybe meeting at that particular point to adopt a budget, maybe and we've certainly got some other land development that's happening in the area that will ultimately get added to the NCA as well. So I think there's going to
We
be.
might try to hook it up.
Exactly.
One of the.
Yeah, so we've got some activity going on for sure. So it may not be a year before we meet again.
Okay.
So
Do you anticipate, I know Ravines is gonna start paying a fee, right? I saw that one. Do you anticipate I would anticipate
Yes.
some of the single family will be certified to the auditor this year.
yes.
So we'll collect first half of next year, then have revenues, and then from.
Yeah, I think I checked with our planning department. I think there are about 30 homes that are occupied in that subdivision already. So yeah, there will be revenues coming in from that source as well.
So we won't set another meeting at this point.
Right,
since you're
not
saying
yet.
that We don't know when it's gonna be. Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All right, moved by Mr. Rentz, seconded by Mr. Whitman. Mr. Rentz,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. Lossick,
Yes.
Mr. Killer,
Yes.
Ms. Steffen,
Yes.
and Ms. Frost.
Yes.
6 yeas,
Would you-
motion approved.